We have a graphic in the film where after there's a bit of a graphic explaining law, and we have to explain how the law works because it's just essential. Otherwise, if you don't understand what's going on. And at the end, Thomas Lindsay and CELDF hold these things called democracy schools. So one of the things people can do is hold a democracy school held by CELDF in their community because it explains a lot of what the film's about.
Can you tell the audience here how to get in touch with them to come to their community
Absolutely.
and teach a class?
CELDF is CELDF.org, or you can go to our film site, WeThePeople2.film, and that sends you there. But essentially, what they do is they take you on a journey from a Friday night to a Sunday afternoon, deconstruct what you thought about the United States and how law works, and reconstructs what you can actually do about it. So basically, they are that democracy school is essential in terms of education, in terms of getting people to understand what they can do, which is basically to rewrite the law. So we're rewriting the law so that companies don't have the same purchase on our lives. So all that means is that we are citizens of the United States. Essentially, we have rights that supersede the rights of the corporation. Even the corporations have claimed First Amendment right. They can actually be people.
They think they're people.
They think they're people. They're not, and we challenge that. So CELDF and Tom basically challenges that notion that corporations are persons. They say they're not. So they write laws that say corporations are not people, ergo you don't have the rights as people. So in this municipality, you do not have a right as a corporation if corporations don't function there. They also give rights to nature. They say, listen, if what we need to do is give rights to nature so that, like, for example, the Gulf of Mexico was poisoned by the BP oil spill. So right now, people have to claim sickness in order to protect an ecosystem. So all the people along the Gulf Coast have to say the Corexit 9500, whatever that chemical was, gave me cancer or skin lesions or whatever.
And they have to have that now, even though the reality is the cancer may not turn up for 10 years.
Exactly. So right now you have to prove human harm before you can regulate or deal with the corporation. Now, obviously, the BP oil spill was very, very large, and it was egregious, and you could see a lot of harm. But in lots of cases, like small rivers or aquifers or whatever, it's very difficult to prove that linkage. So now they're saying, you know what, we're not going to prove that linkage. We're going to simply say nature has rights. This stream doesn't need the arsenic in it. Arsenic doesn't naturally occur in this stream. Therefore, leave it alone. It has a right to run and be itself. So that is a key element, rights of nature. So we have rights of nature. We also have the rights of local lawmaking. They're driving the right to say, hey, we're allowed to make law. So even though the state preempts us, our law still stands. Now that is a huge challenge to the structure, or the sort of the existing structure in the United States right now. This is going to drive to a Supreme Court hearing, and this is going to cause a crisis in the Constitution.
They've already been sued.
They've been sued.
Large
so
companies.
several. So we have, I think, 300 communities that have driven these rights into place. We now have counties. We have, and I say we, but it's them and the communities. But there are counties. There are even Bloomberg was looking at it for New York. There are whole countries. Ecuador has driven these rights into their state, the whole constitution of Ecuador. So essentially, these laws are going to start. They're rippling across the United States at the local level. And what's going to happen is it's like a 20-year battle. I don't know if we have 20 years, but let's just say he's looking at a long term. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. But basically, once they get like 10,000 communities and the Supreme Court takes this up, basically they're going to have to rule that people don't have rights, that corporations have more rights than people, and all of those things. And that's not going to be a successful ruling. So essentially, that's the plan. The plan is to change the law of the United States from the ground up.
That's a good plan.
And that's basically what the revolutionaries did way back. They said, listen, the King of England doesn't represent us. We want our own representation. We already fought this battle 200 years ago, right? But we have to fight it again. But this time it has to be in the courts, hopefully.
That's a good way of framing it. Now, let's say, because I don't think we have 20 years. I mean, when we're looking at the data of what's happening right now, and let's go into like the big picture thing.
Okay.
We're up above 400 parts per million carbon worldwide right now. And we just crossed that threshold with the monitoring station in Australia about a week ago. And it's permanent.
Yeah.
At least permanent for the next 10, 15 years, assuming we're not cutting anything, which I hate to beat on Hillary Clinton again because Trump's even worse. But, she's like, oh, we're going to do incrementalism. incrementalism, we're dead. I mean, we're dead.